Hi everyone, so as you may have seen in the introductory part, we're going to have a target range with 3 different target types, and they're going to be all inheriting from a base target which contains functionality common to all of them. In this part, we're going to create just the base blueprint and one of the target types, and then the base blueprint will carry on being expanded on as we go through the series. What we have here in Unreal is just the first person template, where I've deleted all of the boxes and things that are there by default, and then rebuilt the lighting to get rid of the shadows, but other than that nothing's happened, it's just a brand new project. So let's go start with our base blueprint then. I'm going to right click in the content browser, make a new folder, call that blueprint, just so we can keep everything nice and organised. Then in this blueprint folder, right click again, say we want to create a new blueprint class, and it says what do you want the parent class to be, and we're going to say actor. So the target base blueprint, which we're making now, is going to inherit from actor, and then our other 3 targets are going to inherit from this one that we're just making. So actor. Let's call that pp_target base, and double click that to open. As mentioned, this needs to contain components, variables, events that are common to all of our targets. I want them all to have 2 meshes. The reason is, some of them will have a part that can be shot and a part that can't. Like the target that looks like a long stem with a panel on it. The panel being hit is how the player knocks it down. If they hit the stem, we don't want anything to happen. And if we have these as 2 separate mesh components, we can just detect collisions against one of them, but not the other. It just makes it nice and simple. So we'll go add component, say static mesh component, and we'll call this something like target support. Okay, the thing the target is attached to. Add component again, add another static mesh component, and just call this one target. This is going to be the thing that the player shoots. Now, if like me, you've got it like this, where target is indented underneath target support, that's not quite what we want. That's going to make scaling these components a little bit awkward. We want them target and target support to be indented at the same level. The way we would do that is just click and left click drag target, drop it over this default scene route, and when you let go, you'll have the option attach. And as you'll see, that will attach target to default scene route, so there's no child of default scene route, not target support. If yours was already like this, then that's fine, you don't need to rearrange them. Notice we're not going to say what these 2 mesh components are using in terms of their mesh here. We're going to leave that on none, and then it'll be up to the individual 3 inheriting blueprints to set whichever meshes they want to use. With that done, let's just pop over to the event graph, because these are all the components we need, at least for now. Let's get rid of everything that's on the event graph already and think about what we're going to need. To begin with, we need what happens when the target is shot, some kind of behavior like make an explosion happen, make some sound, and we need a way of detecting that the target was shot. So let's set up those 2 things. We'll add a custom event, so right click, add custom event, and call this something like do hit. This is the sequence of events that's going to run when the target is shot by the player. We're going to start with having an explosion. So drag away from do hit and do a spawn emitter at location to spawn a particle emitter, and that will be the explosion. Let's just run down these options on spawn emitter. Which emitter template do we want to use? So which particle system do we want to spawn? There is one called p_explosion built into the starter content. If you don't see this list of particle systems, it's possible that you don't have the starter content loaded, which is fine, we can fix that now. All you would do is go to your content browser, click on add new, add feature or content pack, then go into content packs, and then the starter content is just there, so you can add it if you don't have it. One way or another though, you'll have p_explosion here, that's the one we want to use. Now where in the world do we want this explosion particle system to spawn? We want it to spawn wherever this target is, this actor. So we can click and drag back from location and do a get actor location. What get actor location will do is how it sounds, it will return the XYZ world coordinates of whichever actor. Whichever actor we wire into this target pin on the left here. If we don't wire anything in, notice it says self, which means it will get the position of this blueprint itself, this target. Rotation is fine, we don't want to touch that. Scale, let's increase that to 3 for X, 3 for Y, 3 for Z, just because this explosion particle system is a little small. Auto destroy is fine, so the emitter will be destroyed when it's finished playing, and then all the rest of this is fine as well. But this particle system is silent, so the next thing we want to do is play a sound. So we'll click and drag again, after our emitter and do a play sound at location. Just two things to set here: what sound you want to play and where. The sound, again from the starter content, is explosion 1, and the location is the same location, so we can just wire in the same get actor location. So the explosion sound will seem to be coming from wherever this blueprint is in the world, this target. What we need to do after that is really just destroy this target. The other actors, other targets like the 3 that we were going to make can do more complex things, and they will do. But all we want to do here is just destroy this target. Now it's been hit, we want to take it out of the world by doing a destroy actor. Destroy actor will destroy whichever actor we wire into this pin here on it. If we don't wire anything in, as you can see, it will destroy self, so it will destroy this target blueprint itself. Okay, so that's that. And then the other thing we need is detecting hits from the player's bullets against our target mesh here. How that works is select your target mesh component, scroll the details panel down, and then one of the events you've got down the bottom here is on component hit, and there's a green plus next to it. Press that, and it will add the start of a new blueprint, well, a new blueprint graph. What this is going to do, whenever anything at all hits this target mesh, it's going to run whatever we wire up here. And we get a little bit of information from these pins here about what the collision was like, what was involved in the collision. Now notice one of them is other actor. That's the other thing that was involved in the collision. So what was it that hit this target component? And that's something we need to know, because think about it, this will run whenever anything hits that component, whether it's player's bullets, other meshes, bits of the scenery, whatever. Player could run into it and it would trigger. We only care about knocking the target down if it was one of the player's projectiles that hit it. So dragging away from other actor, do a cast to, C-A-S-T, cast to, and I think it's called first person projectile. Yeah, cast to first person projectile. What that will do is basically ask Unreal Engine, can other actor, the thing involved in the collision, be treated as a first person projectile? If it was a first person projectile, that will work, and it will run whatever we wire up here. If it wasn't a first person projectile, it will cast fail and run whatever we wire up here. There's a little bit more complicated there, because if we have a blueprint that inherits from first person projectile, it will also work. But for now, if it was a player projectile that hit our component, this will run. And when it does run, we want it to do that do hit event that we've just created up here. So you might think, well, hang on, why split this into two separate things? Why not just take this and paste them here instead of having this do hit and just do it all in one go? The reason is flexibility. So every single one of our target blueprints that we're going to make that inherit from this one want this same logic here. When a first person projectile hits my target component, run the do hit event, but they may want to change the behavior of the do hit event to make it work in other ways, to have different behavior to each other, and so it's just helpful to have that little split between the two there. And then what we'll do is just compile and save that, and we'll leave the base blueprint here for now. What we can do now is just go and create the first of our 3 inheriting blueprints, the very simple one. Well, right-click on BP target base in the content browser and press create child blueprint class. That creates a blueprint based on this one we've just made, that inherits from the one we just made. And call that one BP round target, or BP underscore round target. I've got that. Open that, and notice we inherit those 2 components, those 2 static mesh components that we set up. If we go to the event graph, all of the stuff we set up in here isn't visible, but it is there. It's like there in the background. So we could call that do hit event if we wanted to. For now though, all we want this round target to do is set a mesh for its target and then really nothing else. So select your target component, come to where it says static mesh over here on the right, drop that down and type in cylinder. And we have shape cylinder. Oh, hit that. You may have other things in this list called cylinder depending on whether you've got engine content switched on or not. Alright, let me switch that off. I think this is right mesh. If it's not, we'll come back and change it. We'll have shape cylinder. There it is. And let's not have that quite that size. We want it to be maybe wider in terms of its circular face, but definitely not as tall. It needs to be like a much thinner cylinder to make like a round target. For scale, let's say 2 for X, 2 for Y, and 0.1 for Z, and that will do that. Now, one more thing I want to do here. If you click and drag on the y-axis, the green arrow move tool here, and just bring it this way so that the round ball that you can see is on the edge. That round ball is essentially where the default scene route is, and if we start rotating the actor in the world, it will pivot around. It will swing around wherever this is, and we want it on the edge so that the target can sort of swing down from the top. If that was still in the middle, it would be spinning around its center, and we wouldn't be able to get the effect that we really want there. Okay, so I think that's done. Now, we don't need to do anything else with this exploding target blueprint, this round target. Let's just test it out. So first person map, drag in a BP round target. I'm going to move that up in the air, press space to go to the rotate tool, swing that down by 90 degrees like that, turn it to face camera, and let's just see. So if I hit that with my shots, it explodes, see. So what's happening is, because this BP round target inherits from BP target base, as I said, it gains all of BP target base's capabilities, which includes all of the, if you detect a hit between a player projectile, run all this stuff, and that's why it works. So you see, we didn't have to reset up any of that in this blueprint, and no matter how many targets we make, as long as they're all based on BP target base, we won't have to redo all of this work in each of them. And as BP target base gains more and more capabilities and becomes more and more sophisticated as we go on, you'll see how powerful and useful that can really be. For now though, we have our round target. Let's just press space to get to the move tool, Alt drag to copy a few more of those, and they should all just work perfectly. There you go. I mean, we'll deal with making the targets flop down and reveal themselves later on, but I'll tell you what, we'll leave this part here, and in the next part we'll work on our spinning targets and our collapsing panel targets. See you next time.